Today we return to what is, without a doubt, your favorite type of video here on this channel, where I talk about what I believe to be undervalued projects in the space. And today we're talking about a project that I have mentioned several times before, but I think deserves its own video, as they are starting to show signs that they very well might be the beast that I believe they will become. Now, the market is nowhere near as excitable, as frothy as it was back in July and August, so keep that in mind that the reality is we're coming up to an historic election and the market very well could take a dump. Also, given the strength of Bitcoin, there's a lot of logic that the alt might be getting ready for another extremely exciting leg up. This is a project that I see performing well kind of regardless, because it really is just such a small market cap for as big of an idea as it is, and it really has not had its pump yet here in 2020. So with that in mind, I still believe that this is an amazing opportunity. Whether it pans out tomorrow, the next day, or in a few months from now, I'm going to be holding this one and excited for the future. Now, if you guys are excited to learn about a project that I believe could become one of the most disruptive protocols in the entire DeFi space, then go ahead and destroy that like button. And remember that each and every comment on this video is entered to win your very own Ledger Nano S. Now, with that said, let's dive into my review of Unilend. Now, Unilend wants to do for lending and borrowing what Uniswap did for trading pools. They essentially want to make it so that any ERC20, which of course is the vast majority of tokens in the world, are able to be set up with lending and borrowing pools the way that most of the major tokens are traded on Aave and Compound, Curve, different sites like that, where you can do lending and borrowing against certain assets. Well, they're taking that exact idea and trying to Uniswapify it, if you will, and allow for anyone to set up any lending and borrowing pool with almost any asset. Now, they're going to go slowly at first and set up assets that they believe offer a good opportunity in the market, high quality assets that maybe aren't included in those majors that are already being traded. But you can see here that their mission here is to unlock the true potential of DeFi. And they're doing this with their permissionless decentralized protocol that combines trading services, money markets, and lending services through smart contracts. Now, they claim here essentially that there's a gatekeeping going on. Even with projects like Aave, like Compound, the reality is not every single token can set up lending and borrowing, or effectively the core of DeFi, which is really a lending and borrowing mechanism. There's a lot of other DeFi mechanisms like yield farming, but it all kind of comes and stems from the lending and borrowing mechanism. So that's really the core, the heart of DeFi, and creating a protocol that's kind of like the Uniswap of that. Of course, on Uniswap, there's amazing, very, very high volume pools where everyone's trading things like Ethereum against USDT. And then there's also pools that no one's ever heard of, no one ever visits, and in fact, plenty are actually quite scammy and dangerous. Well, I assume that the same thing would happen here on Unilend, where you'd get some amazing new pools that become really popular, pay amazing high interest rates, but that there would also be some really risky ones. So their core features here are permissionless listing, lending and borrowing, governance, liquidity, and they also have trading and native utility tokens. So they're also going to have trading pairs here. It's not just for lending and borrowing. So essentially they're having some Uniswap-esque functionality here as well. But for me, the big ones here are the permissionless listing as well as the lending and borrowing. This is what really allows them to set themselves apart from the rest of the pack here and allow for some really interesting functionality. Obviously, there's a possibility that someone like a Compound or an Aave could just make it so that any ERC20 could be listed, but we really don't see the incentive for that. There's probably a little more risk than reward for them to do that, considering the fact that they're already huge and successful protocols, and the lending and borrowing of these more illiquid assets actually could present a significant risk. You know, with BNB, well, the price is only going to move so much on any given day. You know, with the USDT and USDC, well, price barely moves on those. They're stable coins. You know, with Ethereum, what the volatility on any given day you could expect. But then you start talking about random ERC20s, and while they can go up and down by leaps and bounds, sometimes over 50% in either direction in a single day, which of course completely throws off the dynamic of any lending equation. And that could lead to some serious liquidations of lending contracts. So it's important to realize that while this is an amazing step forward, this does present a significant amount of added risks for certain lending pools. Now, I've talked with the team, and the team is a lot of ex-Matic folks. It's a heavy-hitting Indian team, but really their rock star here is Chandresh. And Chandresh was the COO over at Matic, and I've actually had a lot of communication with the Matic team. We were originally going to even look into building our game on Matic. We haven't gone forward with that yet, but at the same time, we have a pretty good relationship with Sandeep and the whole Matic team, and everyone says amazing things about Chandresh, that he was a significant workhorse, really driving for results over at Matic, and part of the reason they were able to achieve so much. And so seeing Chandresh be the tip of the spear here, the CEO and founder, well, I believe that that means that we have a really, really reliable actor as the leader of this project. And so what I would expect from this project is that they're able to make some significant partnerships and push, of course, to get a lot of amazing other blockchain projects involved. Because, of course, not everybody's involved in Compound and Aave, and maybe they want the ability to have DeFi on their tokens as well. And this brings us to today's announcement, which is, of course, that one of my favorite projects, as you guys well know, ANKR, who allows for you to pretty much spin up and deploy nodes for almost any blockchain, many major blockchains, not all of them, but many major ones, including Ethereum. They're supporting Unilend with a direct partnership. And this shouldn't come as a big surprise because ANKR is closely related with the Matic project. This is showing that Chandresh is really building off of his network and his connections that he built up through his Matic experience. When I first discussed this project, I really found out about it about 2 months ago, and I've been excited about it ever since. And I actually tracked down the team and kind of harassed them until they let me have more information about the project, but they've been very close to the vest about data. They really don't leak a lot of stuff out there, but I was able to gather from Chandresh that a lot of the people that had been, in the background supporting Matic had come on and supported Unilend in its early stages, and that this thing has a lot of significant backers behind it. And seeing this announcement today with their partnership with ANKR confirms that they are building off of the same sort of backend that Matic had created because of Chandresh's instrumental role there. Now, there's not a ton of information here about the partnership, but essentially they're saying here that Unilend has deep connections with ANKR that go back to before the start of the Unilend project. This is what I was talking about with the Matic stuff, and that they're pleased to have such a strong ally at their backs, helping to run one of the nodes through their robust and direct Ethereum API. And so what ANKR does, beyond letting you spin up nodes, is they actually allow for a variety of API and enterprise functionality that they're building out for certain blockchains. They're a really awesome and useful company. They allow for staking portals for coins like Ethereum and other projects without you having to meet those minimum staker requirements. I have a lot of positive things to say about ANKR, and it's actually dropped into a significantly juicy territory to be bought as well. You can think of this as a sort of supportive video for ANKR as well. Anyone who follows the channel knows I'm very, very positive about ANKR and have been covering them for a while. But there's not much here except for that ANKR is going to be supporting Unilend, and to me, it's just evidence of the beginning of something very special. Now, one of the only other announcements they've made here besides their intro post is that they're partnering with Bluezel's BLZ token. And so this is, Bluezel's, you've probably heard of it. It seems like a pretty legit project. I haven't done a deep dive on Bluezel, but this is going to be one of the first tokens that they allow for borrowing and lending on. And so you can see they're going to start with some very interesting and compelling ERC20 projects that maybe aren't quite as volatile as the brand new ones, essentially proving out their new borrowing and lending protocol before really opening the doors and allowing for any project to really list their token. Before this announcement, this was just about the token sale and really introducing their project. They used Chainlink's on-chain verifiable randomness for their token sale lottery. They did a lottery for their public sale, and then they just pretty much had some basic token sale information as well as just introing the project in this intro post back in August. And to be clear, they have not released a roadmap. At first, the rumors were that they would release their protocol, at least the beginnings of borrowing and lending, in October. Now they're saying end of year, but the reality is that this is absolutely a baby. Obviously got a nice pump today off of the ANKR news, but even sitting here, it's under a 3 million market cap, and you're talking about something that could, or at least is trying to become, the Uniswap for borrowing and lending. And that is a huge undertaking. And it seems like they're kind of in this own category that they have, where they're trying to unlock the liquidity of all of the collective ERC20s that aren't being included in those major markets. If you look at other similar types of projects, you have here Aave at $384 million. Remember, Unilend is literally $2 million. You have Curve at $53 million. You have Compound at $400 million. You have Maker at $500 million. I mean, obviously, not all the coins are circulating yet. You still have, only about 10% of the coins circulating. But even fully diluted market cap here, they are looking at like a $28 million market cap. So even fully diluted, which I don't think you should be taking into account because the lockups for this project go outwards of a year plus. So they're not going to have these fully unlocked for a significant amount of time. And I think that this market cap to me just screams undervalued. It screams undervalued. And to me, seeing it get to $1 or something would not surprise me. In fact, I don't want to make any price predictions because the market's in a really weird place. But even in this market, you guys saw me talking about Unilend back when it was literally 12 cents on my live streams throughout the last few weeks. And I was telling you guys how excited I was for this project. And now, of course, I think it's proper to give it the full low cap gem treatment. In my mind, this market cap is just ridiculously low for a project of its stature, of its quality. The team's solid. The idea's solid. I really loved it from the time I first saw their idea. And now seeing that they're making inroads with projects like ANKR, and we can imagine a lot more really solid projects on the horizon because every time they add a token to their borrowing and lending, it's going to be another news push. And so there's a lot of opportunities to push news and keep people satisfied and of course fed with exciting news. It's like an easy news cycle type of project, which makes me extremely bullish. Of course, we know that with Matic, there's a lot of connections to Binance as well as other tier 1 types of partners. So seeing this eventually make its way to a Binance listing would not surprise me. And if it does happen, you can come back and say, Elio told you first. So there you have it. It's early days for Unilend, but I do believe that there is something truly brewing here and that this baby market cap of under $3 million is absolutely ridiculously low for a project of this quality. The reality is that this thing doesn't even have a roadmap out, but once it starts making good, which I'm pretty sure it will, given their team, their backers, their partnerships, coins like ANKR, which are some of the most legit projects in the space, if you ask me. Of course, we can read through the tea leaves and guess that there might be something like a Binance listing in the future. Obviously, I'm a big bag holder and investor in this project, and I believe in it. I think that this thing could make a serious run over the coming months and even throughout next year if we do have a nice bull run like I'm predicting that lasts through 2021. And that's why I'm so excited, because I think that the team checks out, the idea checks out. They're going to be able to bring amazing news time and time again, each and every time in exciting project lists. And more importantly, they're taking on a really interesting concept, which is how to Uniswapify or completely open up and decentralize the whole borrowing and lending market, which we all know is kind of the core, the heart of DeFi. You know, the dream scenario is that they make their way up and start to be competitive with the Aves and the compounds, and they actually really start to control a significant market share in the borrowing and lending ecosystem. Regardless, the comparable protocols for something like Unilend are so much more dramatically, exponentially expensive than where they're sitting in the market that to me, even with the 40% pump, and remember, I told you about this project weeks ago before this pump, I still think this thing has tons and tons of room to go. Once again, the market is in a totally different place than it was when we started making low cap gems. There's absolutely no guarantees here. You have to understand that altcoin investing in general is risky, and you should always do your own research, ask hard questions, and never just take my advice for it. But I personally think Unilend is an absolute gem, and I'm going to be a big bag holder and proponent of this project for the foreseeable future because I think they're doing a lot of things right. But I'm curious what you guys think. What do you think about Unilend? Are you excited for what they have to offer? Do you think that they're going to really come in and disrupt this borrowing and lending space, kind of potentially on the level of what Uniswap did for DEXs? That's kind of what they're going after. I'm curious what you guys think. Remember, each and every comment is entered to win your very own Ledger Nano S, so feel free to leave your thoughts below. Regardless, if you guys enjoyed this video, if you got some value out of it, go ahead, smash that like button. And of course, this is just one of many low cap gem videos that will be coming from this channel. We're going to be covering the best projects in the space, hopefully trying to give you an edge. And if that's of value to you, I highly encourage you guys to subscribe and have that bell on. There's been rampant censorship across YouTube lately, across Twitter lately. We're seeing a big clampdown on different types of content, and without that bell on, it's quite possible that you won't be shown the videos. So I highly encourage you guys, if you want to see what coins I'm most excited about and you want to be notified first, I encourage you guys to subscribe and put that bell on. If you guys want to connect with me personally, feel free to follow me on Twitter at Elio Trades and join the Telegram group Elio Trades Crypto. The links for both of those are in the description. And oftentimes I'm talking about projects, tweeting about them, or discussing them in the Telegram group far before they're able to become low cap gem videos here on the channel. So if you really want that news as quick as possible, I encourage you to follow me on Twitter, join the chat and Telegram. I believe it will serve you well in the long run. Regardless, thank you so much for watching. My name's Elio Trades, and I will see you very soon on the next episode.